Rainforests are very fundamental to the issue of climate change. Indeed, many scientists have concluded that about 25% of the carbon dioxide released to the atmosphere each year comes from the destruction of rainforests. Legal & General and myself personally have a very strong commitment to being responsible opposite the environment and especially focused on mitigating the effects of climate change. It's very urgent. We are looking over the period of the next few decades at potentially catastrophic climate change in terms of warming of the planet, and with it very unstable weather and climate patterns which will affect different parts of the world in different ways. Sea levels will rise according to all the predictions, and that will displace millions, possibly billions of people. And of course the patterns for agriculture, the patterns of weather, flooding will play havoc with the human race unless we address this matter. We have to start early because the effects of climate change are almost certainly with us, but unless we act early and in a very determined way, then the effects will become too difficult to manage and will have massive consequences, not just on the human race, but the whole aspect of the planet with regard to biodiversity and many of the things we both have come to live with and enjoy. All the various plans we have, and indeed our leaders and politicians are working on, are to reduce man-made carbon dioxide, whether it be from transport, from housing. But the biggest single carbon dioxide emission in the world is from the rainforests of South America and Southeast Asia, and in particular the effects of deforestation. So we have to manage that as a very major issue. Of course, it's a very difficult issue because the deforestation is occurring in order to promote agriculture, crops such as soybeans, palm oil, sugarcane, grazing, to enable local people in these countries who don't have a great deal to enjoy a better standard of living. And so the balance here is an incredibly difficult one. And quite clearly, in order to preserve the rainforest, that vital lungs of the planet, we have to apply means which motivate local people and help the local economies to manage without destroying the rainforests. That inevitably comes down to the question of money and funding, their ability to develop sustainably whilst leaving the rainforests intact. Well, I'm delighted that Legal & General is taking a leadership role in this space. Not only are our staff wholly committed, and have been for some years now, to doing everything they can within the company, recycling, reducing paper, reducing transport miles, monitoring very carefully the use of electricity, of fuels, of water, and in fact achieving spectacular results. But Legal & General more generally can play a leadership role in that it is one of the largest investors, I think the largest in the FTSE 350, on behalf of its customers who entrust it with their money to invest, and hence we can play a leadership role both through our investment management in our interactions with other companies. We're determined to do that, as we see this as a very fundamental issue to the well-being not just of the world, but also of Legal & General. Clearly, Legal & General is in business to manage risks, risks such as housing, flooding, but also risks relating to people and people's lives, mortality risks, longevity risks. All of these will be very fundamentally affected by climate change, and hence we have a natural interest from our risk management perspective as well as our investment management to play whatever leadership role we can in mitigating the effects of climate change. Well, it's very clear to me that leadership will play a central role. We have to apply not only new technologies to generate our power, electricity, to just sustain the form of living, but we also will have to change our behaviours, and behaviours such as driving, the way we heat our houses, the lifestyles we live. That requires leadership. Leadership has many forms, both at the political level, but also from major, well-established companies, and the managers, and indeed all the staff within those companies. They can play leadership roles in their activities within society generally, within the country, and indeed internationally. The more of us that play that sort of role, the greater the probability that we will find means of tackling these problems, means of modifying behaviours, means of applying the new technologies that will be required, and the new approaches, such as the one we've been talking about on rainforests. And to build that consensus of leadership, I think, is the vital step forward we have to make over this next decade.